Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much indeed for coming today. Where do the towers go? 9/11 Finding the Truth and Infinite Energy. A lot of you here will know already what this is about. We are a fairly select group today. Probably most of you know the work of Dr. Wood and Andrew already. Hopefully today it'll stir your minds more, and there's new material to be shown as well. So please interact as well with questions. You go off at slight tangents, and if you go off too far, don't worry, Andrew will bring you back to the line that he wants you on. Just tell me where you're from. Who is from the Birmingham area? Anyone? Mark Conlon. Further afield, where have we got? Who's farthest away? Someone's from Oxford? Oxford.
Originally Birmingham.
Right. Okay. I'm from Chichester. Nice. Hi, welcome. Do we have any MI5 in the audience today?
Always one, isn't it?
The blonde lady. It's a nice cover, but I think we get the idea. Anyone else? Taliban? Something like that? No? Okay. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very, very much. Andrew will now kick us off, and hopefully you will enjoy it and learn and ask and walk away with something today more than what you actually came with. And that is as much the object of this as anything else, and to tell others as well. Right, so thank you very much. Andrew, over to you. Thank you.
Thank you, Alan. I'm going to really start off just by reading something out for a few minutes, and I think probably it should work reasonably okay because of the company that's here, as in the people that are here. Well, you've seen, I think, the overview of the event. I'll see if I can get that up on the screen like this. So that's the running order for today. We're going to have Dr. Judy for an hour starting at about 2 o'clock. We're going to try and keep this to time, but some of these events, as you know, don't run to time. Then we'll have a break at 3 for 15 minutes to do various things. And then another hour of Dr. Judy. I will then do an hour between 4:30 and 5:30. So we've got quite a long sort of day today, really, I suppose. Then we've got a break for food. I will come back and do another hour between 6:15 and 7:15. Another break. Then we're going to show Richard's Flight 175 analysis. We're going to have Dr. Judy coming back at 8 o'clock tonight for about half an hour to talk about journalistic integrity. And then we'll do a Q&A. We've also got we did schedule some time for Q&A at 5:30 as well. So we'll do that. We'll see how that time goes as well. We may have a few people coming in late. So, again, we'll see how that goes. So I'm going to read this out. So it'll probably take about 10 minutes. I'd like to thank Alan for his sponsorship of the event. And thanks to everyone here for both attending and parting with their hard-earned cash. I hope that today's proceedings will go smoothly, but I will apologise in advance for any problems that may arise. This event is unrehearsed. And the last similar event I was involved in setting up like this was 4 years ago in Derby. So that's quite a while ago. So it's not an everyday thing for us, Alan, and Alan. Neither is it an everyday thing for Alan. But most of what I'm going to read next comes from a second volume of 9/11 Finding the Truth that I've been had in sort of development since the end of the first one, really. And I sort of put it together in a bit of a hurry. So I hope that it's coherent for you. So the first question is, who is here? Look around you if you want. Is this room full? Why are you here? Why have you come? I will pose this rhetorical question again later, but for now, in one of my presentations, I would like you to consider these questions in your own mind. When Alan and I discussed this event, I knew he understood the issues far better than most people outside this room do. Indeed, most people outside this room don't even know that they are issues at all. Alan was passionate about bringing these issues into a public forum and has expended a considerable fund of time, effort and money to make today happen, as have I. But it's now 15 years since the destruction of the World Trade Center, more than a quarter of my lifetime. And I do wonder if the difficulty in promoting and hosting events like this is worth the effort, even though I am very thankful to Alan and everyone that's here. Alan and I discussed this earlier this week. But I got involved with this research about 12 years ago, and on the face of things, little has changed, really. We are faced with increased restrictions on our physical and mental activities, and all of these restrictions have seemed acceptable due to trickery on a grand scale, which we're going to talk about today, and some of which you'll already be familiar with. But why is this important? Why is today important? Why is what's in today important? A study of how the World Trade Center was destroyed revealed in the evidence that has been uncovered by Dr. Judy Wood, and that graphic was made by Adam Dwyer, very skillfully, I might add. So why is it important? Well, it forces us to reconsider the evidence that we're going to cover today, at least 3 issues of global importance. The so-called issue of terrorism, the production and use of energy, and the truth about global warming and climate change. As we will see, the events on 9/11 involved the use of an advanced weapon technology, which we do know something about. This technology has the ability to produce vast energy changes without generating heat. And it appears to be related to a phenomenon misnamed cold fusion or low-energy nuclear reactions. That's the correct name for it, or a more accurate name. Also, it appears that a hurricane named Erin was manipulated in certain ways so that its movements were coincident with certain events on 9/11. The issues of energy, climate and the environment are now fully woven together in the public mindset because it has been programmed into people that the only way to get the majority of our energy is essentially by destroying the environment in some way. This then causes the existence of an environmental movement which at one time was just a vocal in criticising the way that energy is derived from fuel-based sources. Now, however, it sets government policy in many countries, and it forces certain controls to be placed on energy usage. However, behind this green mask lies a darker agenda, one of control of our freedom. Without a complete view of the energy picture, the control agenda appears sensible and benign, but when more obscure histories from the last 100 years or so are studied in depth, and we're going to cover 1 or 2 of those today, hopefully, an insidious cover-up can be observed. Many people have discussed aspects of this cover-up, but only a very small number of people, including myself, have connected this cover-up to what has become known as the war on terror. Indeed, others have appropriately reused this cliché to describe that what we are involved in is actually a war on terror, that's spelled T-E-R-R-A, as in a war on the earth. That some group somewhere has co-opted us into helping us destroy our own environment, because that's what's happened. And that's the truth. What we will cover today essentially proves that all current accepted wisdom about global terrorism, energy scarcity, and so-called global warming are false and must be rejected by anyone who still has integrity and intelligence to dispassionately analyse available evidence. How many scientists in the room? Count them. I don't think this can be stated often enough or urgently enough. So we speak out. We try to speak out. I've begun to wonder what might have happened if Dr. Judy Wood had not decided to speak out and make a website and then challenge NIST. We'll talk about NIST later. Whilst the awareness of what Dr. Wood has discovered and shown is still quite limited, I don't think it's insignificant. And it's thanks to people like Alan that that's become true. Whether at this time it could be described as a growing awareness is difficult for me to say. Thanks to the efforts of a number of dedicated activists, a number of whom are in this room, we now have a firm public record of disclosure. Dr. Wood has given talks in several US towns, several UK cities, and towns in Europe. In cyberspace, Dr. Wood, myself, and other figures such as Dr. Morgan Reynolds, attorney Jerry Leapart, Richard D. Hall, and others have also carried out this disclosure, both about what really happened on 9/11 and how it's been covered up. Of particular note are Richard D. Hall's single-handed and highly skilled efforts to build a vehicle which has allowed him to convey important truths to people in the UK and around the world. It is largely due to his work that in the UK and Europe, knowledge of Dr. Judy Wood's book, Where Did the Towers Go?, has grown considerably since the book was published in 2010, late in 2010. Didn't really become available here until 2011. I'm going to hear more from Richard later today in video form. He's not going to attend, but we've got a new film. Similarly, Dr. Wood's relentless efforts from the USA, giving many, many radio interviews and podcast interviews, has also gradually raised awareness of the evidence which proves that the World Trade Center was destroyed using an undisclosed technology, which someone knows about. Someone knows about this technology. This isn't a theory, as I say. I'll go on to say more about that. Someone is working very hard to keep this covered up. The cover-up works too. But I should not be too surprised about this really when things like cures for cancer, of which there are a number, have also been covered up for about 85 years, perhaps even longer. So I'd like to talk a little bit about soft cover-up and hard cover-up. I'm really thinking back towards the USSR and East Germany. Consider their regimes. They would cover up corruption and a deeper agenda with threats, violence, kidnappings, and even murder. Perhaps I can call this a hard cover-up. In our current regime, cover-up is achieved primarily by psychological means, ridicule, marginalisation, ostracism, but it seems that people can also be made to lie and help the cover-up because of threats to livelihood, more than violence, bribes, blackmail, and they can be blackmail over past misdemeanours. I also would argue that some form of mind control is involved as well, of various sorts. Censorship extends to nearly all media, mainstream and not so mainstream, such as Huffington Post, for example, which has a slightly alternative slant on things. You won't find anything about any of this that you hear today in Huffington Post anywhere. So it also extends to some extent to YouTube because you get so much muddle upon that. Other methods of soft cover-up are largely psychological in nature and seem to employ a kind of social engineering. The muddle-up cover-up is already in place, so when exposure to a large audience would have a limited effect unless it was repeated daily for weeks on end in the same way that the original false story of 9/11 is repeated almost daily. In other words, we've got this one event. It's the only 9/11 event that's specifically focused on that this year, really, compared to 24/7 news every hour on the hour, or half an hour in the morning when you're driving somewhere. Scientific study and peer review, I'll just say a few words about that because this is something that comes up. One would hope that the peer review process in science, in the scientific community, would help expose the obvious problems with the official 9/11 hijackers' fable and it not being supported by available scientific evidence. They spent $16 million on scientific reports. The fact that this has not happened shows that the peer review process is not pure, but it is driven by vested interests and the traumatised psyche of those unable to accept the deeply troubling truths that are revealed in the evidence which we will be discussing today. Forces at work in the scientific community are actually working in a very similar way to those in politics. There's a lot of politics in the scientific community, far more than there should be. Now, for those that have actually looked at this already and know that it's true and know that it's not a theory, people write to me. A number of people that have read Dr. Judy Wood's book, Where Did the Towers Go? And if anybody hasn't got a copy and wants one, we've got some here today. But that's not the goal to sell books today. They have communicated with me how much the knowledge they gain from reading this book changes them. It changes their life. Changes the way they look at the world, and it changes their relationship to it. Sometimes it seems like knowing the truth is a curse. I have described this in some interviews as feeling a sort of isolation. It is like you become an intellectual leper. Most people live with deception on a far deeper level than they seem consciously aware of, and some just don't seem to care what the truth actually is. Others seem on the surface to care, but when they are confronted with certain evidence and truth, they are seemingly unable to process it. It's like the paper jams in the printer, and no information can be placed on the paper. The paper has become crumpled, and no new information can be printed on it. One chap who's experienced this kind of thing, this knowing, I've got a little piece that he wrote, which I think is really good. He said, and he's got a slightly religious thing in the beginning, so I'm not religious. God reached down and said, "You're going to be lonely." And he said he wishes to call it, this is reading him now, "I wish to call it an immaculate burden. I think it's some kind of lesson. Maybe you're supposed to learn how to choose wisely the evidence you share and who you share it with. Maybe something was locked in our heads, and then you want to bring your loved ones with you, but you can't. I honestly don't know if this sucks or not," he says. "You feel sorrow as you watch others get their psychology operated on, and all you can do is watch and understand. It takes everything you're made of to survive this kind of transition. Some of my friends didn't make it, but they are still friends. Sometimes I wonder what they feel about me now. I don't get too close anymore, but I always have open arms. And this is something that I too have experienced. We hope that friends and family will listen to us because they respect us. This is me now speaking. Sadly, it does not seem to work that way. People are happier to go along with a program. It's basically easier to go along to get along. That's the way the world works. Perhaps someone here today or someone watching a video of this will understand the evidence we will discuss for what it is and start to break free of lifelong programming, and they will see some of the brazen lies that have shaped their lives in so many ways. If one person is freed from a mental prison, then today's event will be worth it. So that's my general introduction.